Welcome, everybody. And my name is Lucia Giovannini, and I'm a transformational speaker and author of 13 books, including A Whole New Life, which recently was released in the US. And in this inspirational New Life series, I will be chatting with inspiring men and women who have discovered how to harness the power of change and create a whole new life that is truly fulfilling and authentic. And my next guest in the series is Dr. Alexander Eben. And with over 25-year experience as an academic neurosurgeon, Dr. Eben thought he understood how the brain generates consciousness, mind, and spirit. Then everything changed. When in November 2008, Dr. Eben suddenly fell very ill with acute bacterial meningoencephalitis and fell into a coma. And doctors did not expect him to survive, but on the seventh day, he woke up and surprised of everyone. When he woke up, he had massive odyssey deep into another realm and started writing everything down. 6 weeks later, Dr. Eben wrote and was astonished to find that his journey had so much in common with other stories reported throughout all cultures, continents, and millennia. His experience clearly revealed that we are conscious in spite of our brain, that in fact consciousness is at the root of all existence. So his story offers the crucial key to the understanding of reality and human consciousness. And so I'm so excited to be able to interview Dr. Eben today and discuss the role of our consciousness, what that role plays in any transformational journey. So welcome, Dr. Eben.
Well, Lucia, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
And thank you for being here with us today. So we'll dive right in, and I'm gonna start with the first question. How did your life shift when your understanding of consciousness shifted?
Well, I would say everything changed tremendously. I'm a scientist, a neurosurgeon. I had come to believe the conventional scientific view that the physical world is all that exists. I was as confused as anyone about the relationship between the brain and mind and the nature of consciousness. And this was really a beautiful journey in many ways, because what I faced was an extensive destruction of my neocortex, the part of the brain that modern neuroscience says must be at least partially active for us to have any kind of conscious awareness at all. And what I witnessed was this extraordinary expansion of consciousness into ultra-real realms, far more real, vivid, impactful, and meaningful than anything I'd ever witnessed before. And this was all at a time when my neocortex was under extreme attack, and my doctors had evidence from my neurologic exams and from CT and MRI scans, from laboratory values, that I had a very, very devastating case of bacterial meningoencephalitis. And so that really started this incredible chain of discovery. Now, it's important to point out to your listeners that when I did come back to life on day 7 of that coma, after being in deep coma due to the meningoencephalitis, I had no memories of my life before. I didn't even have words or language. I didn't even recognize loved ones at the bedside. So my brain was really savaged by this infection. But the thing that astonished my doctors is, who had basically said I'd gone from a 10% to a 2% chance of survival during that week with no chance of recovery, was the speed with which everything came back. Words and language came back over days, childhood memories over a few weeks. All my semantic knowledge was back within 2 months. And that really called into great question everything I've come to believe about the nature of consciousness and awareness, and basically proved in a very profound fashion that the consciousness is not created by the brain as much as filtered in by the brain. And that's where modern scientific studies of consciousness and quantum physics are all in alignment, showing us that consciousness is really fundamental. And the implication for humans is that death of the brain and body is not the end of our conscious awareness. In many ways, it's like a liberation from the prison of the physical brain and kind of the physical body. And this is an extraordinary set of truths that is emerging from the scientific study of consciousness.
Yeah, wow. This is really, really like something mind-blowing. really. It changes the whole perspective.
Well, it changes
Complete.
everything, and it's an important change because what it really indicates, the scientific study of consciousness suggests that we're really all sharing one consciousness. We're all part of one mind, and near-death experiencers come to see that full well, especially in the 25% or more that experience a life review, where they go through the most important features of their life, and any of the pain or suffering they've handed out to others, they have to feel during that life review. So in essence, near-death experiences in this modern investigation of consciousness are proving to us that we really should treat each others as we would like to be treated. The golden rule is written into the very fabric of the universe. And that is a lesson that is crucial for our world to learn today with all the polarization, all the mistreatment of each other. We're really all in this together. And the science of consciousness is now proving that we really are in this together, and that the binding force is really one of love. And it shows how unconditional love has infinite capacity to heal. These are very crucial lessons for this world to finally get right.
Yes. So in a sense, we could say that finally we have the scientific proof that we are all one.
I would say that's exactly what's emerging from the modern interpretation of quantum physics, which is a very important part of this. It's the most fundamental expression of the mind-body question, but also the neuroscience of consciousness and philosophy of mind. Hundreds of scientists around the world are realizing this new order of things. And for those who want to learn more about the science, I would steer you to GalileoCommission.org. You will learn a lot more. I'm one of the 100 plus scientific advisors to that group. That document came out in November of last year, and it lays out the scientific argument for the fundamental role of consciousness in the universe.
Wow. So, and it's really, again, a game changer, because at that point, when we know we're all related, when we know that our consciousness is something that is there throughout, I mean, no time, you know, so even it's not produced by our brain, it's really, I mean, changes things around. And I think that it would also be very, very useful to keep that in mind when we make our choices in life, you know?
Absolutely. And that's what I think is so important. What a lot of people miss, they think that near-death experiences are just about what happens when we die. Well, it's actually a far more important set of lessons about how do we live these lives that we're living here today? How do we make choices that show love for self and love for others, which is the deeper spiritual truth that all of us discover when we leave this physical world and go through that life review and through that whole process of reuniting with our higher soul and soul groups. It's really about how we live these lives here and now and the choices we make. And best to make those choices out of love, kindness, and compassion for our fellow beings. We're all in this together.
Yes. So I have another question for you. Do you think our consciousness truly knows what our higher self really wants? Or what our, do you think our
I think this is where it gets, well, I believe so in a certain sense, that when we talk about consciousness, we're talking about various levels of awareness. And of course, most of the linguistic brain, the little voice in our head and that steady stream of thoughts, and we tend to identify with that. But the deep mystery of consciousness from a modern scientific viewpoint is not that little stream of thoughts. In fact, that's little more than a parlor trick. The deep mystery is of the awareness, that awareness of existence. And so often when my life partner, Karen Newell, and I give meditation play shops addressing these issues and helping people get in touch with their higher soul, we help them realize that that little voice in the head, the voice of the ego, remember the ego really has two main tools, anxiety and fear.
Yes.
And of course, our modern political system is rampant with people trying to use fear as a tool. Well, very important to realize there's nothing to fear but fear itself. And especially in these spiritual realms, we can come to know our higher soul, that kind of neutral, objective observer, the part that we reunite with when we die and leave the physical body, as we reunite with soul, other members of our soul group. And we can come to develop a much richer and higher perspective of our role here and of our purpose here, and come to see, when we get a suitably big view of ourselves in this kind of multi-incarnation environment, start to really recover that love of the infinite co-creative force of this universe, where we're all bound together through love, and we can recover that love for self, and we can use that in healing ourselves and in healing the world around us. Sharing that love for others, that sense of compassion and kindness, is the way forward in our spiritual growth. And this is what we need to bring back to this world in no uncertain terms. And I often point out, as Karen and I do in our workshops, that through meditation, centering prayer, these are ways to get in touch with our higher soul, to put that little voice of the ego that uses fear and anxiety, that can go into timeout. And we can develop that much richer relationship with this expanded version of who we are, that has a much greater sense of connectedness with others through our consciousness, as well as a sense of meaning and purpose in our existence. I would say that those are the two main qualities of a truly spiritual kind of awakening, and that's what the scientific study of consciousness is suggesting we all need. And the very specific tool on a daily basis is sacred acoustics. So for those who need a tool to help them get into deeper transcendental states of conscious awareness, I would suggest the binaural beat style, what's called a neural helix, is how sacred acoustics has utilized sounds that influence the lower brainstem. And that's why they have so much power. It's been known for decades that this kind of music, of frequency use and sounds, can engender very deep transcendental states of conscious awareness. For those who want to learn more, I would steer them to sacredacoustics.com and also to my website, AWNL to learn a lot more about this revolution in science and about how individuals can partake in this and really regain the kind of free will of their higher soul in guidance in living their lives.
Yeah, definitely. And what struck me also is, the idea that we actually are manipulated by fear and anxiety. We are pushed to feel fear and anxiety by our society, by our system. But in reality, we can dissolve fear by love. And I think that the concept of fear is not so much courage, but it's love. And anyway, courage comes from the Latin word cor, which means heart. So by breathing at a love level, yes.
Beautifully put. I think that is very true, and that's what we're really here to do as human beings, is to gain that authentic relationship with our higher soul and with our soul group, which essentially involves a connection to the divine, to that co-creative force where we're all bound together through love and mercy and kindness. And we can invoke that into our consciousness and into our daily living, all the choices we make in living these lives. But the way to get centered and to come to these answers in a natural way is through going within, through a form of deep meditative and centering prayer kind of practice, because the answers do truly all lie within us all. And that is a pathway of discovery. I would say that many people who have participated in our play shops, also I would invite your listeners to participate on my website, ebenalexander.com, is a free 33-day email course that was the brainchild of my partner, Karen Newell. It's a brilliant course. More than 7,000 people around the world have participated in this course. All you do is get on my website, click on that banner, your 33-day journey into the heart of consciousness, and you're well on your way. It includes 4 sacred acoustics recordings to help people get into deep meditative states. And it's a completely free way to learn about a lot of the major topics in our newest book, not Proof of Heaven and the Map of Heaven, but the third book, which I co-wrote with Karen Newell, called Living in a Mindful Universe. And that 33-day journey is a workbook, a playbook that was designed for free to go with that book that we wrote, Living in a Mindful Universe. And the 33-day course will introduce all of your viewers to a profound kind of new way of thinking about life and reality, the science of consciousness, and basically the nature underlying our observable world and all the causal forces that we can invoke to participate in manifesting the free will of our higher soul.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you also for these indications. They are very useful. And if there was someone listening who is so caught in the business of life, doing, that they struggle to find meaning and purpose, they struggle to remember the being part, what would be the one message you would like them to take away and carry with them for the rest of their lives?
Well, I think the most important message is to point out that every soul is important in this. No one is unimportant. We're all playing a role in this awakening of humanity. And that it really is through love, but it does take reflection. You don't think your way to these truths with that little voice in the head, the linguistic brain, and the ego. It's really about allowing the universe to show us some very deep truths about our connectedness and about our purpose. And you really can't do that in the kind of heyday hustle and bustle of thinking our way logically and rationally to answers. So it does take those few moments. I try to take an hour or two a day, but you can just take 10 or 15 minutes to close your eyes, focus on your breathing, follow some of the advice that Karen Newell gives on sacredacoustics.com. She has a set of free instructional videos, also available through her new app, Sacred Acoustics, which is there for iPhone users. But these are all about the ways that we can open our minds to the universe and come into a much richer relationship with our higher soul. And this is something that has a lot of scientific validation behind it. That's where our book, Living in a Mindful Universe, goes. But there are many other books now about kind of this evolving understanding of the nature of consciousness. And I've already mentioned the GalileoCommission.org, which will open many of your viewers' eyes to the modern science of consciousness and why this revolution is basically inevitable. And it is really here to change this world for the better. And it is none too soon in its approach. I would say this awakening we're talking about is the culmination of more than 5,000 years of human destiny, really, including the 400 years of the scientific revolution, which I often label the turbulent adolescence. And it's really coming to a reckoning of quantum physics and what it's been trying to tell us about the nature of reality, which places consciousness and our free will as fundamental in this universe. And that's a crucial scientific lesson for this world to learn. And yet the individuals, souls on this planet don't have to wait for the scientific community to catch up. You can get going on your own revolution into the awakening of the world into the true nature of reality and consciousness by simply starting to meditate and program of centering prayer. But again, all the layout and framework for this can be found on ebenalexander.com and at sacredacoustics.com.
Yeah. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for your wisdom, your teaching, for sharing your experience. It's been...
Lucia, thank you very much for having me and for getting this message out to the world. Thank you very much. Bless you.
Thank you. Thank you. And of course, as he already said, you can find Dr. Eben at AWNL. And if you would like to learn more about to face difficult moments, how to make positive changes in your life, how to be in contact with your real self, you can join my A Whole New Life Facebook group. And of course, you can grab a copy of my book, A Whole New Life. And stay tuned for the next interview of this Inspirational New Life series. Thank you, Alexander. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Good to be here. We'll talk soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye.